Okay, so welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to try my first video, whereas I give you a debrief in relation to what the users or the drivers are doing. So you can see right now the pupil's got in, the examiner sat with him in the car, he's gone through the two show me and tell me questions. He's now going to move off, so he's going to do his all-round observations starting from his left, then he's going to start looking over his right shoulder. At the very end, he'll look over his right shoulder into his right blind spot. He will then move off. So we'll see that happen in a couple of moments. You'll see the man that's trying to walk along the pavement. Perhaps he could walk into the road. So if he looks over his shoulder, he will be doing. The pupil's turned on his wipers. Why has he turned the wipers on? Because it's raining. So he's looked into his blind spot, straightened the car, looked in his rear view mirror, and he's now going to make progress. So he's going along the road, he's looking at the van on the right that's parked. He's now going to look into his right door mirror anyway. The reason for that is he's going to move over to the right as he's doing now. So he's looking at that car. He's now looking in his rear view mirror because he's affected by this white car here. He's travelling along the road. The speed that he's travelling at now is approximately 25 miles an hour to 28. The speed limit on this road is 30 miles an hour. He's now going to look into his right door mirror again because he has to move to the right to go past the parked cars. Now going past parked cars, you want to make sure that you're at least a metre away, just in case they open the doors. So here the sat nav, it will usually say to you at the end of the road, turn left. It may also tell you to keep right. Here you would look in your left door mirror, you would then move into the lane on the left. You would also make sure that you don't block the entrance to the nursing home on the left. You'd now look into your right door mirror just in case there's a lorry on the right that's turning with you to the left. You'd look in your rear view mirror because it's a crossing and there's somebody there. You saw that man on the right. So now we're travelling along this road. And as we're going down this road, the speed limit of this road is 40. He's now going to look into his left door mirror, left blind spot as he goes over a cycle lane. He'd look in his left and right door mirror and look in his rear view mirror. Perhaps look in his left door mirror again. Now the speed limit has gone to 30. He's now going to do a drive-in bay park into one of the bays on the right. You can see the bays before the red vehicle on the right. So he's now looking all the way around. He will then signal right, look into his right blind spot, and then turn into a bay on the right. So now he's travelling into his bay. Now if you pause the movie here, you'll see that he's between two bays. That means he's failed his driving test. So now he has no option but to reverse out and continue with his driving test. Now this could have been avoided by making sure that that line was on the left-hand side of his vehicle as he was travelling into the bay. Now you can fix this as you're going into the bay, but not once you are inside the bay. So you can see there the line is, it's not actually on the side of the vehicle, it's under the vehicle. And there, look, he's correcting it now. But the correction is too late. The correction is done after he's inside the bay. The correction must be done before you go into the bay. The reasoning for that is you are told, I'd like you to drive into a bay on the right. I'd like you to imagine a car on either side of you. Well, if there was a car on either side of him, he would have hit the car on the left. And that's why he would have failed his driving test here. So he's now going to ask him to reverse out of the bay. So he's reversing out. The reverse he's done is completely fine. But at this point, he's actually failed his driving test. He's now going to turn left at the end of this road, I believe. The road that he's travelling on is 30 miles per hour. So the road that you're on is a dual carriageway. I believe at the end of this road, you should be turning left. Now you can see a car that's coming out. I would have reduced my speed a little there, just to make sure that that car clears his path. So the speed limit is still 30. So at this point, once you go past this road on the right, you start your routine. So you check your mirrors, you'd signal here, you'd reduce your speed. Because there's bushes at the end, it's a closed junction. You'd look over your right shoulder again. As you go over the line, you'd look over your right shoulder. Now here you can see a sign on the right. You can see that blue sign. That means you have priority over these vehicles. However, some cars try and sneak through, so travel at a speed that's appropriate for the environment and the junction or the environment that you're in, including weather conditions. You're now going to approach a roundabout. Usually at this roundabout, you're going ahead. On some sat-navs, it's classed as a right turn. You start your routine from around here. So you'd look in your mirror, see what's going on, assess the roundabout, assess the conditions. So you check your mirrors here, you'd signal right here. You'd look to your right, which is technically at your 1 o'clock there. There's nothing coming, you'd follow the road round. Glance in your right door mirror again, cancel your signal, look in your rear view mirror, continue following the road ahead. Now the speed limit on this road now is 30. I believe at the roundabout you'll be turning right. Again, you'll be checking your inside mirror, your right door mirror, you'd be signalling right. You'd look again to your right, you'd follow the road round, you'd cancel your signal about here. You'd be turning, I thought you may be turning left there. Okay, so we're following the road ahead. And these speed humps, ideally the speed limit on this road is 30. The speed humps drop you into your low 20s. In relation to your requirements, you're supposed to travel at a reduced constant speed. So that doesn't help you much. However, it's giving you an idea of what kind of speed you should be traveling at. So your high 20s. Soon you're going to come across a roundabout. The roundabout you'll come across, it's very difficult to see to your right. So be prepared to stop. You'll see it soon. You can see it to your left very, very easily, but to your right it's obscured. Any second now you'll see the signage on the left. After this school on the left, you'll see the markings for the roundabout. There, we can see a car on the left there. That's where the roundabout is, where the red car is. So here, look in your rear view mirror, adjust your speed. Make sure your speed's appropriate. Now you can see the signage for the roundabout. You need to look to your right where this red building is on the right. You need to look again now. And the reason why you're looking again is just in case you miss something. And you're pulling up on the left again. Again, when you move off it, this is classed as a normal stop. When you're moving off, check your mirrors, make sure you look into your blind spot. And if there's a car committed to going past you, let them pass. The left lane turns left towards York. The left lane also goes ahead towards Crossgates. The right-hand side lane turns right towards the city centre. It also makes you do a U-turn and come back onto the road that you're on. The car's positioned to the left, so he has an option of following the van on the left or to go ahead towards Crossgates. You'll notice that the car stopped at the first line. Ideally, you're supposed to stop at the first line. However, if the light did go red while you were going through and you could stop safely, you would stop just before the second line, which is classed as an advanced stop line. Now, this is a roundabout, but it's controlled by traffic lights. That means if your light is if your light is green and there's no emergency vehicle coming from the right, you can proceed if it's safe. So if you're turning left here, you should have your left signal on. I glance in my mirrors again. That traffic light is for the opposite junction, not for you. Now we can see this person crossing, that means he's pushed the button. And that could be on the opposite side, it could be at another crossing. So it's important that you watch out for pedestrians and look at where they're going, where they've come from. Now we've got a sign on the left telling us we're approaching a set of traffic lights. And this is a crossing that you're approaching. So that was pre-warning you of the crossing. So we're following the road ahead and we're going to get to a roundabout soon. Now this roundabout is where some people fail their driving test, especially on the lane layout. So make sure you're aware of what's going on. The speed limit of this road now is 40 miles per hour. It's a very busy junction, especially near the supermarket, which is where we are now. This junction is very busy. So in this lane, you can only turn left. So if you try to go ahead in this lane, you will fail your test. So you can only turn left in this lane. The lane markings tell you that. So it's called lane discipline. It's a very busy roundabout, so make sure you make a shoulder check again as you move off. You've got to remember you're going into a speed limit of 70 miles an hour. So you'll find people on the opposite side traveling a lot faster. So now look in your rear view mirror, you will be picking up speed. However, you may be taking the next road on the left here. So make sure your speed's appropriate. And he is turning left here. So he's checked his mirrors and he's signalled. You will need to reduce your speed here or you'll overshoot. And we'll see that one more time. So he's coming a little fast and he slows down in a turn. So he was approaching a little too quick. Now the speed limit now is 20. And you'll see it's a busy road. There's not enough space for two cars at one time. So be prepared to stop and remember your hold back position. That 30 sign is telling you you were in a 20. So you're turning left here. And that's good observation there. He's looked, he's rolled forward. It was safe, he kept going. And this is where you need to slow down a little. You'll see that car he's actually stopped. And that's giving you an idea of how busy it is. Ideally, this pupil should have stopped as well. So here you're back to the same dual carriageway you were on a few seconds ago. Now this is an argument within itself. Although that's safe what he did, I would have moved over to the right, signalled right, and moved straight into lane 2. Now you can only go ahead from lane 2. So this is correct what this person's doing. It's a very busy roundabout, but look in your left door mirror here, just in case somebody's got the lane discipline wrong. You check your mirrors, you'd signal left blind spot check if you needed it to come off. I'd be looking into my right door mirror now. No reason, just see what's going on behind me, in front of me, in my door mirrors, make sure the speed that I'm travelling at is appropriate for the environment I'm in. If my wipers are on and it's a bit wet and it's a bit dark, I usually have my lights on. It's a rule that I have with my pupils, lights on. If wipers are on, lights are on. Good stopping distance, very reasonable what he's doing. Soon we'll be turning left. Oops, apologies, sorry, turning right. And this is your normal stop again, so you check your mirror, signal left, look in your left door mirror, and not focus too much in your left door mirror. The reason for that is if you keep focusing, you'll hit the curb. We can see the speed limit. The speed limit signs on that lamppost, so it's 20. Between 15 and 20 is reasonable. Anything less than that, unless it's necessary, would be unreasonable. So he's checked his blind spot as he's moved off. Now you'd look in your left door mirror and not get too close to the parked vehicle. Now look in your right door mirror. You look into it again because that vehicle's parked and you're going to go through the centre of the road. Now look in your rear view mirror just to see what impact you're going to have on others. So mirror checks are key to passing a driving test. I'm looking at the white van right at the end of the road. I'm looking in my right door mirror again. Why? Because I'm going to be straddling the line. I need to make sure it's safe. Again, I'm looking in my right door mirror. I'd move a bit further away from the van. That was too close. So you got a little too close to that vehicle there. And I would have stopped to let this silver car come through. Although it's my priority, he was committed to coming through. It just shows that you understand how to drive and you're courteous. You'd look into your right door mirror again. Why? Because the road is very narrow. And these are normal stops, so you'll be asked to park up on the left 4 to 5 times. So he's following the road down. He knows he's coming to the end of the road because you can see these lines. So they tell you that you're coming to a junction. So it looks like he's turning left at the end of the road. So he checks his mirror signals, looks over his right blind spot right shoulder as he's going over the line. Now that's one thing I've noticed with some people. As they go over the line, they've looked a little too early. But when they get to the line, when they're committing going into the new road, look over your shoulder. It's just good practice. That, if you didn't realise, was an emergency stop. So usually you'll get 2 manoeuvres, perhaps a bay park, perhaps an emergency stop, maybe independent driving. You get one or the other. So we still know it's a 20. We could see the sign on the left. So we're now on a dual carriageway. So now we're on a small, narrow road. And if anything comes along that road, you must be able to stop. So you're committed because the obstructions are on the opposite side, but be prepared to stop. So your speed should be appropriate. You should be looking round the corner as you're going round the corner, then reducing your speed here, like this driver's doing now. That's fine. A little bit too close to that silver car on the left. Turning right here. So he's done his mirror checks, he's signalled, he's turning right here. This is my first video with an audio description. Once I get the hang of this, I'll try and make better ones. When you are on your driving test, please don't follow other cars. Do what you've been taught to do or what I've told you to do. So like now, these 2 cars are committed, so you'd have to reduce your speed. Now the red car stopped. And because the red car stopped, it was safe for you to go. But if that red car moved, you would have to stop. Then look at the person on the left and look at the puddles. You need to try and avoid splashing them. It's not nice. So we're approaching a roundabout here. This roundabout is a very busy roundabout from the right. So it's very busy from the right and it's very busy from ahead. It's not as busy from the left. It's something you need to understand about some roundabouts. So now start looking over to your right, assess what's going on, look at the red van. So you're going to stop for the red van anyway. Then look again as you're coming onto the roundabout. He's taking the first exit left, so it doesn't really make a difference in terms of how quick he goes. But if you're going to go ahead, you need to make sure. Now we're looking at this red car parked on the left, so we're looking in our right door mirror here. And now I'm looking at the black car parked on the left. Then I'm looking in my right door mirror and I'm going to move over. We'll straddle the line. So you'll sit on the line as you're going through. So you move across now about 10 to 12 car lengths earlier. So you're not struggling at the end and you're not going to get boxed in. Now we're approaching a set of lights. So look in your rear view mirror just in case there's somebody standing there or somebody may have pushed the button in. You're now approaching a busy area again. Round the corner, there's another crossing it's used quite a lot. I'll highlight it in a second. We're coming to a roundabout. Now this roundabout, if you haven't practiced this with me, you're now going to have a couple of attempts on this because it's quite complex. In the left lane, you can turn left, you can go ahead. You can actually take the third exit from lane 1, which is what I recommend to most of my pupils. So you'd stay in this lane. You can go down to cross gates by turning left here. And you can actually go up to you can actually come round on yourself and you can take a few exits from the left lane. This roundabout is very complicated. It's important that you practice this with me. Now, as we're going ahead on this lane, on this road, the lane on the right, where that Ford Focus is, the car on the right, that lane will merge with you over the next crossing. So after this blue van, the road bends to the left. You'll see another set of traffic lights. So as the road starts bending, you can see another car in front of the blue car. Over there, the road merges. So watch out for people traveling fast that want to merge. So we're turning right here, but this is where the cars merge with the lane on the left. Now you've got a giveaway here, so you've got to let these guys come through first. So you'd stop here. Any car on your right, on that road on your right, would come through first, then you would go. Now, as you're going through, you'll have another giveaway after this giveaway if you're going ahead. So he's just done a U-turn. As he's done a U-turn, you can see people slowing down for these lights here. Now, this is a very busy crossing, so make sure you understand that it's busy and be prepared to stop. Literally, it goes off every 15 minutes, 5 minutes. This is very similar to the crossing by St. James Hospital. So here, we've come back to the same roundabout that I love. Now, lane 1, it turns left. It goes ahead towards Mecca Bingo. It also goes along towards York. The lane on the right also goes towards York in lane 2. It also does a U-turn and comes back. It's very important that you understand your lane discipline here. So you'd stay in this lane to turn left down towards Crossgates, ahead towards the mill place. Sorry, I forgot the name of it. Mecca Bingo, I call it. And it also goes towards It also goes towards York. So now we're heading back down toward the test centre. So just because you've done the driving test doesn't mean that you've passed or failed. Although we know the result, I've made you aware of the result. Now the lane on the left, you can actually use it. It's not in its hours of operation, so you can move into a bus lane as long as it's not in its times of operation. And here where the bus lane is marked, it will be a 24-hour bus lane. So it won't be a lane that you can actually go into. And there it's marked on the left, no timing. So it's 24 hours. Now how do you know it's a 24-hour bus lane? It's marked in red. So here's the lane discipline telling us if we're going to go ahead, we keep left. If we're turning right, we're moving to lane 2. Now you can turn left from lane 2. Please be aware of this. So when you're going back to the test centre, you can actually move into the lane where this transit van is, but you must signal left, and you would turn left in lane 2. So my car, this car is in lane 1. So you're turning down towards the test centre in lane 1. I'd look at the lights just in case there's somebody waiting to cross. Now you should have cleaned his windscreen. Windscreen's a bit dirty. So although they're on automatic and they'll clean it themselves, if you're not happy with it, you just flick the button down and turn it on. Driving with the windscreen that's quite wet and quite dirty, as in obscured, as in you can't see properly, you will fail your driving test. So keep it clean. It doesn't matter if you leave them on. You're not going to fail your driving test for having a clear windscreen, but you'll fail it if you can't see out the window. So you're in lane 1 and you're travelling down this road, and what's the speed limit? 40. So it's travelling at a good 30, I'd say, at the moment. Personally, I would have done a lane change and gone straight down. But he's slowing down unnecessarily, stuck in this lane. He should be making a lane change. We can see on the left that the bus lane is a 24-hour bus lane. And you'll see that lane 2 is moving faster than lane 1. So me personally, and it's encouraged, and it just shows that you have a good sense of driving, I would have moved into lane 2 and just gone when it's safe to do so. So we know the speed limit's 40. We can see a speed limit sign on the right, and we can see it shows a speed camera sign. So it's important that you travel at an appropriate speed. Traveling at 25-30 on a road like this when it's empty and good road conditions is a bit silly. So if the road's clear and it's dry and the conditions allow, 35 or above. And you can see where he stopped. You can just about see the white line. That's perfectly safe, and it's good stopping. Yes, they take forever to change. So we're about 35 minutes into this video now. And you can see that in terms of a driving test, the actual test itself isn't hard, but the road conditions vary, especially the speed limits. So it's important that your observations are good and they're clear and you plan well in advance. So like I've just gone through these traffic lights here, I'm looking at the next set. The reason why I'm looking at the next set, I need to be prepared and I need to know what I need to do before I get there. Again, this is forward planning. It's to make sure that I'm driving appropriately. So I've looked in my right door mirror. I'm assessing how close I am to the line on the right. Now, one thing I've noticed with this driver is driving well. In terms of lane positioning, isn't bad. I haven't seen any situation where they've gone too close to one side. You've got to remember, the wider your car, the more lane you take. So the wider you are, the closer you will be naturally to both lines. Now, how do you gauge how close you are to the lines? Look at the line in relation to you traveling, and the line will actually finish towards one side of your car. So if we look at the lines, we can see that the line on the right is finishing towards the edge of my bonnet, the front of the car. And that's how you work it out. So we've done a lane change in good time. And the light's red. And for 1 second I thought he wasn't going to stop. But he stopped in good time. See, doing the lane change because your sat-nav will tell you at the traffic lights turn right. So when you're in this lane, when you're in the lane with the taxi on the left, I normally do my lane change after I go over these lights. I get my pupils to do it from here. So I'll say, look, start checking your mirrors. We're going to do a lane change before the next lights. And that's when the sat-nav talks to you. Because if it's a verbal prompt, he will tell you to follow the sign for Harehills. The sign is actually on this green sign on the right. And you can see it now. So you'd have to make the lane change here. Now, when I go into the lane on the right, I check my mirrors and I signal, but I assess how many cars are in front of me. So if there's 3 cars in front of me, I'm not going to go over the junction. I'm going to let them go first. Once they've gone, I'm then going to decide whether it's appropriate for me to fit into the junction, to see if I can fit into the junction. And that's because of the box junction. So now you're on your way back to the test centre. I normally position, like my pupil has here, I position a bit more to the left, like he's done now. The reason I do that is because if you look to your right where that lorry's just gone, and where them cars are, where that van's just gone now, if a bus is turning, because a bus will normally turn, it will turn left, then immediate right. So he will go toward Buslingthorpe Lane. And really, you almost come into contact with each other. So I keep left here, which is what he's doing now, and that's perfectly fine. Just a little bit too close. There, look, he's a little too close to that line. And my man's doing a U-turn in the middle of the road. On your way back to the test centre, this is where it gets a little bit complicated near Asda. If there is a lorry, and if you can see the lorry, let the lorry come through. The lorry will be making a hard turn. You'll see it shortly anyway. They're usually doing deliveries. So you're 40 minutes into your driving test now. And that's driving wise, that's start to finish. It's usually about 45 minutes your driving test. So the speed limit here is 30. On new cars like mine, you'll find there's an active camera that scans and it picks up speed limit signs. You need to make sure that you're traveling at the appropriate speed limit. So if it shows 30, make sure it is 30. So now you're going to park up on the left. So you'll park anywhere here after the yellow line, which is a bus stop. So you check your mirror, signal left, reduce your speed, try not to hit the curb, and you'll park somewhere here. You can see me standing by the building there. Then he'll ask you to park up, put the car into park, secure the car, and you can see him disconnect the sat-nav. And he'll turn the engine off and you'll find somebody like me walking towards you, hoping that you've passed your driving test. Well, I hope this has been of help to you. If it has, please like and subscribe. Thank you.